Okay, we in there. Okay, live. What's up, everybody? Somebody in the house. What's up? What's up, everybody? So we in here. We on a good one today. Man, it was rough. You know what I mean? It was a rough day. I had to work. People that don't know, you know what I'm saying? This is not my primary job. This is my side hustle. But y'all can help out by hitting that subscribe, hitting the like, hitting the share, and share it to me. It don't matter. Share it to somebody. Share it to yourself. All that helps my channel. And it's growing. I'm saying, I've been, I'm saying, I've been plugging away at it and little by little, I'm saying, believe it or not, I'm saying, YouTube is paying me. Duka, my partner, man. Appreciate you for tapping in, brother. You always, I'm saying, staying solid. I appreciate that. Man, I was just saying, it was a rough day, man. I'm saying? I drive a lot for work. So, I had to do some driving, do some pickups and man, the freeway, the traffic, it's ridiculous, right? Cause it's the holiday. Everybody, it started Thursday. Thursday I was out driving, for work. I had to drive up to what Corona. Had to pick up there and then come back. I did that. And on the way back, I swear I'm seeing boats and RVs and trucks and trailers, and it was just ridiculous. And I'm talking about this is like 11, 12 o'clock in the morning. I tried to get in and out early and miss the traffic, so I didn't have to, what I'm saying, deal with none of that. I'm just trying, I'm just trying to get through the day. So I'm trying to, what I'm saying, get as much done as possible. I'm a firm believer, and you got to, what I'm saying, do your best in everything you do. If you don't, then you cutting yourself short. And I done cut myself short many a days. Because I used to always want to go the fast route. You know, it's always a struggle for me because I'm like I said, I'm a hustler, so I ain't with being broke. And I grew up in the trenches. So, if you want something, you got to go get it. Ain't nobody handing you nothing. Ain't nobody going to bring you nothing. Ain't nobody going to give you nothing. If you want something, you got to get up and go get that. You've been to. You keen to do an interview with the ex crime bikie from Australia? I can hook it up for you. Oh, right now, I'm saying, time is, I'm saying, I just haven't had a lot of time. But I'm saying, keep it set up. I'm saying, I'm down for whatever. Anything is beneficial. So I'm learning. Like I said, I didn't even know how to use a computer. This is all new to me. Like I spent most of my life in a cage. From 9. My first offense was when I was 9, and I was in and out of juvenile facilities until I turned 18. When I turned 18, here it is, county jail, what I'm saying, prison. And like I said, I spent over 20 years in the California prison system. In there wasn't no, when I was in there, we didn't have cell phones like they do now. You know what I mean? Now, I got out in '06, and then I ended up going back. I ended up going back in 11, and I did 5 years. And while I was in there, cell phones was real prevalent. I was in one prison for almost a whole 5 years. I was able to get some college courses. I had a job. Will do. Got it, man. Got a pen and paper. Chaos Chronicles. He goes by the name Biff. I'm gonna check that out. I'm gonna check that out, Duka, because you always, I'm saying, showing up. Uh, so yeah, what I'm saying, I'm trying to do different things. I'm trying to do more. I'm saying, I got a little. I'm gonna take a little field trip tomorrow. You know what I mean? Tomorrow, catch me around this time. I'm saying, I might pop off live. I'm saying, my homeboy one of my young homies, you know what I'm saying, Hoodie Hood. Most people know, you know what I'm saying, he on YouTube, he do his thing. And he my young homie from my hood, and he I did an interview with him. If you haven't seen that, go check that one out. But so Hoodie Hood got a thing, hookah with Hoodie downtown in the gas lamp. So, I might, you know what I'm saying? I ain't been out the house in a while. I go to work and I go home. You know what I'm saying? That's basically it. Every now and then I try and go fishing. But I got a new grandbaby in the house. I got, what I'm saying, family, everybody, I'm saying, this is the best life, and I'm cool where I'm at. But I'm saying, it's time to come out. I gotta go check out my boy, see how he doing, see what he doing, you know what I mean? But the homie Hefe Ice, I'm saying, uh I'm there, dog. But yeah, what I'm saying, I got a personal invite from the little homie, what I'm saying, and I appreciate that, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna show up and check out the spot. I don't really come out much, but you know what I mean. I got to come out every now and then. But no complaints, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, life is good, man. Got the little grandbaby up in there, and that's the best part of my day. You know what I'm saying? I look forward to getting off work so I can come home. You know what I'm saying? Just to see if I can put a smile on her face. And half the time they just say, "Oh, that's gas," but I'll take it. I'll take it. Life is good, man. But yeah, like I was saying, what I'm saying, the traffic was crazy today, because I had to make two runs, and man, what I'm saying, there was people everywhere, and then there was an accident. It was just all bad. JC, good to see you thriving and enjoying the blessings, man. I'm blessed by the best, and praying for the rest. I tell you every day, that's the best part of it right there. Uh, Hey, Duka said, "What's up?" Yeah, man. You know what I'm saying. Like I said, family. This is. I don't know. You know what I'm saying. I came from a dysfunctional family. At the same time, I was taken in by the community, so that was like my family. That was my family. Because the people that know, you know what I'm saying. You know, I was a trench baby, and it was people in the community that took me in. It was people in the community that fed me. It's people in the community that supported me. It was people in the community who gave me game. It was people in the community who gave me problems. It was people in the community who helped me become me. And I'm grateful. I'm thankful. You know what I mean? There's so many. I mean, the damn cricket pretty right now. Right now. Don't make me throw something at this damn. We got cricket in the house. What's up, homie? Ah, damn. Can't call it. Yeah, man. So yeah, I mean, let's just keep pushing, So I got more stuff coming. I just did a video. I did it this week, but it's called My First Lick. So if you get a chance, go check that one out. You know what I mean? I think that'd be a good one. But that was one of the ones that kind of got me started. Well, not got me started. That didn't get me started. I was already, like that was when I was 18. That was my first armed robbery, and it's crazy because my first offense was 9 years before that when I was 9 years old. That's crazy. Hold on. See, that's the thing. I'm saying, don't make me to get up out this chair. Ah, uh, shit, relaxing. Shout out to Australia. You guys have a whole different. Yeah, hey, man. You know what I'm saying. Look, I got to get down to the other side. They making it hard. You know what I'm saying. Motherfuckers trying to get up out of California. They trying to chase us up out of here with all these taxes. Man, might have to go down under. So what's up? I see. Okay, on TV, I see that show Opal Hunters. Is that still like a big thing down there, or I mean, has that is that just in certain areas? Because I know that's like I'm saying, like California, you still got people, I'm saying, that's searching for gold. And that's like, I mean, I know people that go up and down the state of California and they still, panning for gold, Look, I done got me a gold pan, after I had my surgery, I was out for a while, but me and the wife went out to the Kern River and we actually pulled some gold out of the river. It wasn't much. It was some crumbs, but every little bit counts, you know what I mean? Florida, not much better, Snow. What the Opal hunters don't watch TV, but Opal are. Australia. Yeah, hey, I'm working on the expungement. You know what I'm saying? I'm already lined up on the next class, me and the wifey. You know what I mean? Man, I got to get that. I didn't think they could do nothing for me because, what I'm saying? Everything I got is violent. Like I say, what I'm saying? My history, my crime history goes back to when I was 9 years old. But, what I mean? If you look at it, it wasn't me. I keep telling everybody it wasn't me. I got witnesses. I wasn't even there. You know? Nah, but what I'm saying, I'm working on the expungement. I've seen friends, associates, and hold on. I thought I was gonna have to, I'm saying, take the cricket down. Watch, he gonna start back up in a minute. You know what I mean? I don't know. Y'all might not even heard him. I might be tripping. Y'all let me know. Did you hear the cricket, or was it just me? Because I thought it was hella loud. I don't know. Mind playing tricks on me. Nah, but so I'm saying, I want to go out there. That's the thing. I wanted to go to Canada, and I don't think I'm saying I don't think they'll never let me up into Canada if they wouldn't let in what's the Chris Brown. That's what I do right there. Hold on. Heard of the Sydney Ducks? Was a big group gang of miners that terrorized and ran a part of San Fran, dying the Cali Gold Rush. Heard of the Sydney Ducks? Was a big group gang of miners that terrorized and ran a part of the San Fran, dying the Cali Gold Rush during the Cali Gold Rush. Yeah, I ain't never heard of no ducks. We heard it. It's just past. Look, he right back at it, chirping his ass off. Miners. Oh, okay. During the gold rush. Nah, the ducks. Nah, I ain't never heard of that. That's the thing, I'm saying, they still got people pulling gold out. I be watching. I be watching, but it's what I mean, it's you never know. A lot of people have struck it rich, but I think the ones who make it rich are the ones who sell the miners their tools. Because I heard, what I'm saying, that the people that were supplying all the miners were the ones who really got rich during the big gold rush, the 49ers and all that. And I heard the stores, the ones who would get the stuff and supply them, they would pay and then they go out and freeze and die and or go out and dig and don't find nothing, get ate by a bear. Nah, it's crazy, but like I said, I look at these things because I want to go out there and go get me some gold. What I got to do, I got to pan like this and do like this. So I learned, you know what I'm saying? It's still, I'm not good at it. I need more practice. But I learned the process. I learned, how it works. I learned how to do it, how they do it. Now I just got to take that, you know what I'm saying, and make it into something. And for me, it's a pastime. Hopefully I find me a big old nugget. But if not, I have fun. I was in the nature. I was in the wide open spaces. I was near a river, so hopefully I was fishing. But if I was fishing, you know what I'm saying, I might not have been catching no goals. So I might need to focus on priorities, huh? Nah, like I said, life has been, you know what I'm saying, going and going. So many things, it's a little tiring sometimes because like I say, I work 10 hours a day. So when I come home from work, I still have things I have to do around the house. I still got things I have to do. You know what I mean? I got that honey-do list. Honey, can you do this? Honey, can you do that? And it keeps getting bigger. But you know what I'm saying? I take care of her. She takes care of me. You know what I'm saying? It works out. Because like I say again, this is the best life. And your boy is blessed by the best, praying for the rest. But anyway, so back to this, you know what I'm saying? We've been having a little heat wave out here. It's not that bad, but it's hot. And it's Labor Day. Everybody and their mama coming out to Southern California to try and get some of that beach. And I'm going to be giving the beach 50 feet. I ain't trying to, what I'm saying, I don't want to go out there. I don't want to be stuck in the traffic. I don't want to be stuck in the lines. I don't want to be waiting behind 40 people, you know what I'm saying, with 6 kids hanging out to the back of a, you know what I'm saying. I'm good. Nah, because look, I remember these exact same days when I was a kid, same place, same everything. When I was a kid, my mom, dad, you know what I'm saying, would load us up in the car. We would drive out here early in the morning and get a spot at the beach and sit out at the beach all day, get sunburned, burnt the fuck up, eat a bunch of, you know what I'm saying, junk food, play in the water, swim, you know what I'm saying, get some sand fleas on you, you know what I'm saying, catch some crabs, get rid of some crabs. I remember being in the back of the station wagon, you know, and throwing crabs out the back window on the freeway. Like crunch, oh damn, he didn't make it. But I was a bad kid. I was man, look, and my family, you know what I'm saying, I was the bartender. I was a little kid, but I was the bartender because the cooler is in the back of the wagon with me. And then, what I mean, pops or unks is driving and they telling me, boy, throw me a beer. Throw me another beer up here. Throw me another beer up here. And then if, I don't know if people remember, you know what I'm saying, the old, you stick your finger in and you peel the whole thing off the can. You peel it off and the whole tab comes off and now there's just a hole and you drink out of that hole. It's not a, you know what I'm saying, you push it down in or none of that. That's new. The old way was, you know what I'm saying, you peel the whole thing off and that whole little hole comes off and you just throw that away. So me, I would take it and flick that out the back window of the car. And I know somebody, you know what I'm saying, this stuff is bouncing on the freeway. Like I said, I was bad. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? When I was a kid, that's what I did. And it was every year, my mom, we went to the same spot every year. And we did the same thing. We had the same food. We used the same tent, the same, you know what I'm saying? It was just like a ritual, and I think a lot of things are rituals now. They've become rituals because we've made them rituals. But you know what I'm saying? Is that what you want to do? Man, look, I got better things to do with my time. I'm, you know what I'm saying, I'm supposed to go over here. What? You know. So, like I said, you got to live life. You got to get up, get out, and get some. Don't let the days of your life pass by. You got to get up, get out, and get something. Man, kind creatures of habit, facts. Yeah, hey, that's the thing. I think about that because the rituals, I speak on that because what I'm learning is we don't need to eat as much as I've been losing weight. So if people have seen me, you see that, it's still a little belly there, but it's going down. But like I'm saying, a lot of things we do are because of rituals that have been passed down from us, and we don't have to continue those. We got to find, find our own way because things are different now. Things aren't the way they were back then when we learned how to go about and how to do this and that. So we have to alter our outlook on how we react to, you know, the environment and what's going on because it's a lot going on. But is everybody paying attention? Because I don't know. I still wonder, is it a flat earth or are we on a globe? Because it's so much the rabbit hole continues. But nah, so I try and stay out the rabbit hole, but it's so many things, that have me scared. Why am I scared? I'm scared for my family, because there's so much going on. And it's just not a good look. But that's the thing, when people don't know what's coming, fear. We fear what we don't know. I try never to let fear stop me, because a lot of people have allowed, whatever it is to come into your path and block you from your blessings, block you from your goal, block you from your purpose. Look, I think I found my purpose. I'm not sure, but it's a me thing. So, I'm still working on me every day. And everybody should continue working on you because I can't work on you. You can't work on me. But, if I need some help, who's going to help me? I can't count on nobody else. Now I can count on, I got other people. I got my family, and that's a rare thing. I'm not used to that. That's a new thing for me, but it's a good feeling to have support, have, people that have my back, people that are watching right now, smiling, laughing at me. Like, look, Joey is running his mouth. Yeah. Further down the rabbit hole you go. Yeah, hey, this goes back, when I was in prison, I was stuck on, what was that, the New World Order and how all this and man, now guess what? They had a plan. I know people heard of plan the 2025 initiative, the white male agenda or the white Christian agenda. This is some bullshit, but it's real. And, they're almost done with it. They've already started a new one. Their new one is 2030. By 2030, it's a new world order. New world order. They're taking control of, and basically, the sheep will be put in pens. Yeah, y'all don't want to listen. Y'all don't want to wake up. It's enough people out here yelling, wake up. I remember that every time I think about this, I think of that movie. If you look at a movie called what was the name of the movie? What was the name of the movie? School Days with Lawrence Fishburne, a Spike Lee joint. Look at School Days. At the very end, Lawrence Fishburne comes out into the courtyard and he's just screaming at the top of his lungs, "Wake up!" Because everybody's asleep. And the wolves have control. Some has to give. $100. Yeah. Yeah, hey, it's kind of ugly, you know what I mean? Because we don't know what's next. What's you know what I mean? The shit they doing now is foul. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I don't know what's going on. They going up and taking people and deporting them, talking about they can deport US citizens. They can deport whoever they want to deport. They're the government. They can do whatever the fuck they want to do. Who gonna stop them? You? No. Until we the people get tired of drinking this tea and paying all these taxes for it, we might get some representation, but not until then. But you know what I'm saying? We can cry about another school shooting, and that's the thing. You know what I mean? Who's doing this? Who's doing all the school shootings? White kids. Why? Why? Why are they doing it? Because they got a problem? No, because they're being programmed. Come on, this too much. It's too much. It's too much. This has been going on for 20 years, and no one does anything about it. Oh, let's have a candlelight vigil. Let's pray. Let's everybody get together, and nothing's being done about it. And then, 2 weeks later, another 7 innocent kids are killed because some idiot goes out, on a shooting spree because he had a bad day, because somebody talked about it. What? What? Man, look, motherfuckers is too soft, is crybabies, motherfuckers need to pull up their big boy britches and act like a man. I don't know, when I was coming up, things were different. I don't know when it changed. I don't know how it changed. I don't know why it changed, but it changed. And ain't no going back. It don't look like ain't no going back. We ain't going that way. We going the other way. And the other way is uncharted territory. We don't know. You know what I'm saying? We've seen. We know what happens when this happens. We've seen it happen before. But here we are. What are you gonna do? I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna stand tall through it all. That's all I know how to do. Man, changes slowly. So people adapt easier. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm trying to step my game up and level up so that I could do more for my family. This is a white man's world. I gotta do something. So here I am. Don't forget, hit that subscribe, hit that like, hit that thumbs up, put some hearts up in there. Come on, somebody. I'm saying, let's go. Okay, thank you. I appreciate you. Okay, so yeah, no, life has been a handful and some, but like I say, thankful. I got more than I've ever had in my life. This is the best I've ever been doing, but I'm back to the same situation. I go to work and then I go home. But I'm able to pay for the home. You know what I'm saying? I don't own it, you know what I'm saying? But one day I want to own a piece of something out here, and they're making it so difficult. I don't know if that's even going to be possible. I might have to get up out of here, go somewhere else and do something, but we'll see, because you know what I'm saying, you never know. And that's the thing, you know what I'm saying, the wife wants to leave California, but I'm from San Diego, you know what I'm saying, I'm a trench baby, so I want to own a piece. You know what I mean? Personally, I'm trying to own a piece of the piece of property on 41st and C Street. Ah, yes, sir. But no, that's just a personal preference. You renting or paying a mortgage? I'm renting right now. I'm trying to get to paying a mortgage. That's the next step. This is like I say, this is the longest I've been out of prison since I was 9 years old, and It's 9 years. In December will be 9 years. And this is the longest I've been out since I was 9. So I've been putting trying to scrape away whatever I can, but it's like I say, it's hard on the yard. But I got some things going, and I'm trying to put everything I got to a down payment and see if I can get a place. But I know, I'm saying, I ain't tripping because I know it's coming. If I don't have a place in California, I'm gonna have a place somewhere else. I bet you. I'm not going without. I'm saying, I'm a child of the Most High, blessed by the best, and praying for the rest. But nah, I'm, saying, I got I got so many, I'm saying, so much coming. It's just right around the corner. And when I get ready for it, I'm saying, it's right there for me. So I know, I'm saying, Pops takes care of his kids, like I say, and if he takes care of me, and I'm one of the special kids, believe me, I'm saying, I rode the yellow bus, I got drugged behind the yellow, but I'm saying, Pops don't care about none of that. Um, I've been in situations where I didn't even think I was going to survive. When I went to prison the last time, not the last time, when I went to prison second time, I got sentenced to 9 years with 80%. I ended up doing 12 years and 7 months straight. And that was the worst time I ever did. Don't get me wrong. I'm saying, when I was at level 4, it was rough. Like I said, I'm saying, it was people that wanted me dead. They had hits out on me. They were the Nazi lowriders, the Aryan Brotherhood, the skinheads, and I survived. I've been stabbed in the neck. I've been stabbed, and I'm saying, behind the ear. I got stabbed in the chin. I got stabbed over my eye. I got, in the back and the arm. A bunch of. But that's the thing. I'm saying, if you swinging a knife, I'm saying, I'm swinging these, and I was able to survive with these. I'm still here. And I'm saying, for me, I figured the man upstairs, he kept me here. He kept me here for a reason. So every day I just ask him, you show me what you want me to do and give me the strength to get it done. And every day I'm saying, he wakes me up with breath in my body. And I get up and try and do my best in everything I do. Because if I do my best, then everything I want is coming. All I have to do is just do my best and keep doing my part. As long as you do your part, Pops is going to take care of everything else. Trust and believe. Somebody got to do it. And this is what works for me. Like I say, this is the longest I've been out since I was 9. And at 10 years, we're going to have a party. I'm not a big party guy. That's not my get down. But, 10 years, I'm celebrating. I'm celebrating my freedom, a decade of freedom after doing 2 decades in a cage. Yes, sir. But yeah, I'm getting to the point where I want to do that the know nothing challenge. The know nothing challenge. What is that? The know nothing challenge is no birthdays, no holidays, none of these made up. Oh, it's Halloween. They say more money is spent on Halloween than on Christmas now. That's crazy because Christmas is out of control. Christmas ain't about the birth of Jesus Christ because it didn't happen in December in the winter months. Who changed that? Think about it. Come on, there's so many things that have. Anyway, back out the rabbit hole, But it's so much, but the know nothing challenge is you cut yourself off. You deny yourself. You deny your birthday for 1 year. You deny, Valentine's Day. You deny Columbus Day. You deny Easter. You deny Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, all these bogus made up holidays to get you to spend money to keep, the cycle going. Do something different. How about that? So no anniversaries, none of that. So you know what I'm saying, I'm trying to, I'm saying, thinking about doing one of those where all that money that you've been spending on those events, go to building something more, something better for the whole family, because like I say, I'm trying to get some property, but I'm not trying to get property for me. I don't need property. But now my kids need property. My grandkids need property. My grandbaby, she needs a whole lot. And I'm trying to make sure she has that. But that's my job, Grandpa Joey, you know how it goes. Nah, but standing tall with Snow Rock is still going. I just I just got to get back into the swing of things because it takes a while to do the video, then edit and do all that. No complaints, but you know what I'm saying. It's just taking a little bit longer, and you know what I'm saying. I like to do more. I like to, you know, keep up in that. And for a while, I was doing, you know what I'm saying, more. And now, you know what I'm saying, with work and everything else that's been going on, I haven't had as much time. So I got to get back on the grind. So that you can count on. You got my word. Like I say, you know what I'm saying, I do my best at everything I do. So we're going to see how that works out. But I got other things, I'm going to be, you know what I'm saying, focusing on other things. And in a little while, Duca, you know what I'm saying, I'll be doing that interview. But I got some other ones, other people that want to do interviews. I just haven't had time. There's some bigger places. I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm not sure what I'm doing. Because I just started really, really working on my book, and it's going good. But there's still, I'm just, you know what I'm saying, getting into it. But, that's the thing, you know what I'm saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So I've already got a couple bites down, and, you know what I'm saying, I got a couple bites to go. But I'm working on the book. So the book will be coming soon. I'm working on YouTube. I'm working on, you know what I'm saying, spreading my hustle. But I appreciate everybody for tapping in with me. You know what I'm saying? I got to keep this one short because I got something coming up later. But like I said, I just did a video called My First Lit. Go check it out. Let me know what you think. Anybody got any questions before we go? Can't wait for the book. Oh, it's coming, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I was working on it, man. It was a trip because, I got to going deep in the, and literally, you know what I'm saying, I was back in a place where, I didn't want to be. I had to go take a break and, you know what I'm saying, take a walk. It was a trip, you know what I'm saying? Like I say, the emotions that are being drawn up from, you know what I'm saying, bringing all this up and reliving, because a lot of people, well, there's a lot of stuff that went on in my life that I didn't, you know what I'm saying, that I didn't really tell people about. So the book is the whole shaboing boing. So I'm trying to make it right, and I'm probably going to do it in, you know what I'm saying, a couple parts. So right now I'm just working on, uh, Snow Rock. So there's also White Boy Joey, and then there's the today right now, because you know what I'm saying, a lot of people know that Snow Rock ain't the one, you know what I'm saying, that people heard of in prison. I'm just an old man just trying to enjoy my life. All right, well, y'all have a good one. I'll see y'all next Friday, 9 o'clock. Y'all stay safe and stay dangerous. Have a good one.